ready to get underway here on the Greg Belfrage Show. The debate last night, absolutely incredible to watch Joe Biden. Wow. So I'll give you, Democrats are in full-blown panic mode, and I got a lot more on that. We'll get underway here in just a moment. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. All right, here we go.
I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens. Whether it's close to home or halfway around the world, we've got you covered. KELO, NewsTalk 1320, 107.9, and KELO.com. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
Tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
The Biden administration.
Can I tell you, the Democrats are really, they're really worried.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
Everybody but Joe Biden is worried.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. It's great to have you along. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. The debate last night, the president was asked about the debate afterwards, and President Biden said, told reporters, he said, I think we did well, he said. And he was at a Waffle House in Atlanta. And so he was asked if he had any concerns about his performance, and he said, no, it's hard to debate a liar. New York Times pointed out he lied 26 times, big lies, he says. So he's saying, you know, his voice was weak, and he was kind of, I'm sick, the president said. And then the First Lady, I think we're going to start calling First Lady Jill Biden the Wicked Witch of the West Wing, because Joe, you did such a good job, she tells him. She said, and this was on the stage after the debate, you answered every question, you knew all the facts. Wow. So, what did viewers think? CNN did a flash poll after the debate. What did, those who watched, what did they think? Debate watchers, by 67 to 33%, said Trump turned in a much better debate performance than Joe Biden. So 67 to 33%. Those same voters said 55 to 45% that they had expected that Trump would turn in a better debate performance. So you got 55% of people going in thinking that Trump will actually do better in the debate. And after it's over with, 67% now say, yeah, Trump turned in a much better performance. So rather than honestly, the big news is not what occurred during the debate. It really isn't. Because I'll get into that. I'll share some of that. We'll get your reaction coming up this morning. I'm very, very interested to get your reaction to what happened during the debate. And I welcome you to drop me an email if you've got time this morning, please. greg.belfrage@kelo.com is my email address. And I love reading them. So thank you so much for the emails. But the Democrats are worried. And I'm just going to, we'll begin by running down some of the headlines from a number of different places this morning. The Washington Examiner, Democrats sound alarm bells after Biden's debate performance. The Hill, Democrats panic mode after Biden's debate performance. The Post-Millennial, prominent liberals, MSNBC, CNN pundits suggest Joe Biden must be replaced after dismal debate performance. Newsmax, a disaster. Biden's shaky debate rattles the Democrats. Are you beginning to catch a theme here? Some of the early reactions then. And again, you've got Andrew Yang, who was on MSNBC. And yesterday said, guys, the Democrats should nominate someone else. He said, before it's too late. This is Andrew Yang. There were others who made some, I think, great observations. Nicholas Kristof said, I wish Biden would reflect on his debate performance and then announce his decision to withdraw from the race, throwing the choice of Democratic nominee to the convention. You got to wonder if that's what's going to happen. We'll talk about that this morning. I mean, that's what's on my mind. Are the Democrats now, because they're panicking? Frank Luntz, pollster Frank Luntz, said, after the first commercial break, I asked my focus group of undecided voters how many of them are more convinced to vote for Joe Biden. 0 raised their hands. And half of those say they voted for Biden in 2020. So these are people, I think that's really, says a lot. These are people who previously had voted for Joe Biden, asked, are you, after watching the first commercial break, are you more convinced to vote for Joe Biden? None of them raising their hands. Yikes. Let's move on. JustTheNews.com. Biden's bad night, mumbles, blank stares, and big bumbles at debate give Trump a path to the finish line. This is also from JustTheNews.com, and they picked up a story from Politico. And before the debate was even over, Politico was already running quotes of Democrats declaring that the debate was a disaster. That's what they were saying at Politico. And these were negative reactions from Democratic operatives. And the story at Politico quoted one. This was a New Hampshire Democratic activist who said, Biden is toast, calling it now. And the headline was, Biden stumbles, rambles in opening of debate. And another said, time for an open convention. That's the conversation then among Democrats this morning. So it was not a good performance. Andrew Yang was among those. He was on MSNBC, and he said, this was on X, and he shared this on X. I think he was also on, I'm trying to be sure here. So I think he was also on with Joy Reid on MSNBC, but Yang had said on X, guys, the Democrats should nominate someone else before it's too late. And so Joy Reid on MSNBC said her Democratic sources are panicking after Biden's debate performance. The universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic, she says. And that's the headline that over at Town Hall, Democrats in full-blown panic mode after presidential debate. And they talk about Andrew Yang specifically there, and some of, as well as comments from others. I mean, it's not just a few. I mean, you've got a great number of Democrats who are, and publicly, you've got some of these folks who are not being entirely honest. They're saying that, well, you're focused on style, not on substance. On substance, Joe Biden was, solid. And I'm like, what? The substance. It was lie after lie after lie. I mean, oh, wow. It's how lost are some of these people? It's just absolutely incredible. So Town Hall's also got a piece. This is a piece by Matt Vespa. And it was an interview with Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill. And she was talking about this debate performance then. Afterward, she was on MSNBC, and she spoke at length about being a surrogate and why she would want nothing more than to be one in this election. But she says her job right now is to be honest. And she was blunt in her assessment, writes Vespa, that Biden failed to show that he could serve as president at his age. She said she's talking about the president, he had one thing to accomplish, and that was reassure America that he was up to the job at his age. And he failed at that tonight. So this is Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill who was saying this, that the president failed at this. And Vespa writes, the Missouri liberal also noted that it's not good that at the end of the debate, all of the attention is directed toward the vice president and Gavin Newsom regarding why they aren't running as possible replacements. Gavin Newsom, by the way, was asked about this because Democrats are in full-blown panic. It's just absolutely incredible following this. Now, seriously, where have they been for the last year and a half? I mean, that's the question that I'm asking. Where have Democrats been for the last year and a half? With their heads in the sand? I mean, seriously. Have you not been watching? The evidence been out there for all of us to see. Everybody knows this. This is like the emperor's got no pants, no clothes. And the Democrats just finally realized that last night. I mean, this is what so many of us have been saying. Just again, it's mind-blowing to me. So, California Governor Gavin Newsom asked a question about the president stepping aside, and he said that kind of speculation is just not helpful. It's unnecessary, unhelpful and unnecessary, says Newsom. And he said, we've got to go in and keep our heads high. And as I say, we've got to have the back of this president. You do not turn your back because of one performance, he said. What kind? Oh, it's not one performance. Again, where has Newsom been? I mean, it's not just one performance. This is why I thought so many Americans would be watching. It'll be interesting to see what the actual numbers were. I've not seen anything yet this morning as to what the actual numbers were of people that were watching the debate. And I suspect it will not be as high as maybe some of us thought. So the Newsom is one of the names that's out there, but he's saying we've got to have the back of this president. And you can't turn your back on Joe Biden. He says, what kind of party does that? It has been a master class. 15.6 million jobs. This president has delivered. We need to deliver for him at this moment. Oh, please. Wow. Some of these folks. Now, that's what he's saying publicly. He can't believe that. I mean, seriously, he cannot believe that. He just can't. Other Democrats are like, you're scrambling. We got to find somebody else. So it's just absolutely incredible. Matt Margolis has got a piece at PJ Media. And the headline caught my attention. Who thought it was a good idea to let Biden debate? Yeah. Seriously, you've got to ask that question. Why did the Democrats allow him to debate? And then it raises the question, do you think there will be another debate? Are the Democrats is there going to be pressure coming from the Democrats on the president to step aside and say he will not run for another term, open it up at the Democratic convention, which is still to come yet this summer? But yeah, the idea that the president's debating, it was, and forgive me for misinforming you as to the debate time, because I honestly thought, and I saw pieces, I thought it was at 7 p.m. Central time last night. Well, it wasn't. It began at 8 p.m. Central. And so by 8 p.m., I get up early. I wake up at 2:45 every morning. So by that time of the night, I'm like, oh, I mean, it's like staying up to watch seriously late night. And so I did watch about 20 minutes. And not the beginning. I woke up, I think it was closer to 9 that I woke up. Probably from 8:45 to a few minutes after 9 that I watched. And it was not, I mean, Joe Biden just angry. I mean, the amount of his anger and the quite incredible. Byron York has got a piece this morning. He's asking a great question. It's at the Washington Examiner. The headline of this piece, how did Democrats let this happen? Byron York asks. He says, how long did it take Democrats to panic after President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump walked on stage for their debate in Atlanta? 1 minute? 2? 3 max? Whatever the exact time, it was quick. Biden's weak, raspy voice, his stiffness, slow uptakes, and weird vacant expression confirmed in a few awful seconds what Democrats had denied for the last 3 years, that there is no way the 81-year-old president is physically or mentally fit to serve 4 more years. And then York says, but you knew that, didn't you? Yeah, I think a lot of us did. We knew that. I mean, again, Democrats have been oblivious to the fact that the emperor has no clothes, right? And now it's like they just suddenly are aware of it. So they are in full-blown panic mode, and I've got to wonder if the pressure is going to be on him to actually step aside. So there are also pieces this morning about the biggest zingers from the debate last night. Both Trump and Biden had moments during the debate last night. Trump picked up on a gaffe from the president at one point when the president said, "What I've been able to do with the COVID, excuse me," he said, "with dealing with everything we have to do. Look, we finally beat Medicare." And Trump said, well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death. Trump said. That was a moment for Trump. Biden brought up the disputed story about Trump then allegedly refusing to enter an American military cemetery, calling dead soldiers suckers and losers while he was visiting France. And the president said he was standing with his 4-star general and said, I don't want to go in the cemetery because there are a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser. Trump has said that it's not true. And then also the Biden had an answer to, was talking about immigration. And near the end of his answer, what did he say? Trump said, I really don't know what he said at the end of this, and I don't think he knows what he said either. So those were a couple of the big moments. Also, the president hit Trump, talking about the civil suit with E. Jean Carroll and the Manhattan hush money case. And he said to Trump, he said, how many billions of dollars do you own civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things, for having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? You have the morals of an alley cat, he said. And then Trump saying, I didn't have sex with a porn star, but those were among the zingers that the two of them had. And I almost hate to concentrate on those because, they're trying to score points well, the country, burns, literally. I mean, at least from my perspective, we've got serious, serious issues. We had Minnehaha County Sheriff Mike Milstead on the program yesterday and talking about issues that are going on because of the situation with the border and the sheriff's work with the National Sheriff's Association and what they're seeing and, the impact then that's having on local communities, even in states like South Dakota, which is far removed from the border. Just really, really big, important issues. And I almost hate to focus then on some of these one-liners and zingers that occurred during the debate. I think during other times, that's part of the entertainment value of the debates. I'm not looking at this debate last night with any kind of entertainment value. I'm deeply, deeply concerned. You look at the president and his demeanor and his stature and his age. I mean, it was one of the things I told you going into this debate. I would be watching to see not only if he could stand for the entire 90 minutes, but, would he be able to have a thought that he, be able to finish and complete a sentence, I think was a question that many of us had. Also, the president froze up at one point, mumbling about the border. And that's where Trump said, I don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. So Biden was trying to defend his border policy, and he froze. And Biden said there's 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally, better than when he left office, talking about Trump. And I'm going to get, again, how does this guy even say this stuff? I mean, wow, you've got to be kidding me. And he said, and I'm going to continue to move until we get to a total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more border patrol and more asylum officers. And that's when Trump said, I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. All he had to do was leave it, Trump said. So among the memorable moments last night at last night's debate, pretty incredible. And the question, I think, is what are the Democrats going to do now? All right, thanks so much for letting me join you. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show is brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Right now, scattered thunderstorms, partly sunny in Sioux Falls, and 69 at KELO.
Weeknights 5 to 8. KELO News Talk 1320.
Thanks so much for being here this morning. I appreciate it. Let me take a look at timing here. I think I went a little bit too long. May have to move some things around here. I know what you're asking. You're asking yourself, why am I wearing a hat? Because I saw the glare coming off of my head here the last few days. And I'm like, I know I'm bald. I'm not trying to hide my baldness. I'm trying to not blind you. So that's why the hat. All right, let's do this.
Buying a new truck for your farm, ranch, or business? At Billion Chevrolet Business Elite Headquarters, we just received a huge inventory drop ready to add to your fleet today, all with industry-exclusive pricing and incentives. Need a new Silverado heavy duty? We have them. How about a large fleet of new work trucks? We have those too. Plus, when purchasing through fleet, get an extra 40,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. See dealer for details.
All right, there we go.
At your Billion Chevy Fleet Headquarters. Call 855-74...
We got local news headlines on the way here. Let's see what's going on.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms.
There they are.
The picture this morning, otherwise partly cloudy for the afternoon. Our high temperature at 82 with a southeasterly wind at 10 to 20, shifting around to the northwest this afternoon. Low tonight around 60, and then we'll kick off a cooler weekend. High tomorrow, just in the low 70s under a partly cloudy sky. From the Storm Center at Kibble TV, I'm Brian Carson.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30. Partly sunny at 69 in Sioux Falls. There are some scattered thunderstorms this morning. Joe Bowman is in the KELO.com News Center, and among stories he's following, Minnehaha County Sheriff Mike Milstead says the open border with Mexico has created another profit center for the cartels. Joe will have details coming up for you in moments here on KELO. All right. Todd sent me an email, and he said, and I welcome your emails too, please, anytime. Greg.belfrage@KELO.com is my email address. Todd said, has there ever been a presidential candidate drop out of the race between the primaries and election time? I believe Trump had upper hand last night for keeping his cool and attacking the border crisis and the wars we are funding. It's a great question, Todd. All right, I'm going to turn up so you can hear news going on.
Court issues more opinions at 10 o'clock Eastern, still pending rulings on presidential immunity, social media censorship, government relations, and more. America's listening to Fox News.
KELO News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the KELO.com News Center. The southern border crisis is fueling drug and human trafficking in the United States. Minnehaha County Sheriff Mike Milstead says the open border with Mexico has created another profit center for the cartels.
You don't just come across the border for free. Going rate is between $8,000 and $12,000 that you pay the cartels. There's two cartels that run that.
The Sinaloa cartel and the Jalisco cartel both operate in more than 40 nations worldwide and control the bulk of the meth and fentanyl drug trade. Police have 3 people in custody following a shooting and high-speed chase in central Sioux Falls. The incident started near the Midco Aquatic Center following an altercation with an innocent bystander. At least one shot was fired before the suspects fled in a stolen vehicle. They ended up crashing and were arrested. Police are still looking for a female suspect, 22-year-old Carissa Becker. The 3 in custody are all under the age of 20. A 30-year-old Sioux Falls man is facing rape and child pornography charges. Ashku Usman has been under investigation since November after a woman reported she was raped by the suspect, whom she met on Snapchat. Authorities searched the man's home and allegedly found several images of child pornography. Usman was booked into jail yesterday. Lake Alvin in Lincoln County has been reopened to boating. Governor Noem placed a number of lakes on a no boating list following the recent floods. Boats heading back onto the water are asked to use caution as there's still debris below the surface. Swan Lake in Turner County and Wall Lake in Minnehaha County remain closed. And the Sioux Falls Canaries are riding a 3-game winning streak after beating the Lincoln Salt Dogs yesterday 6-2. Josh Raywalt smacked a 475-foot homer, and Trevor Achenbach drove in 2 runs. It's Mike Mayer's 300th career win as manager. The number 1 Canaries will continue their homestand tonight, opening a weekend series against the Kane County Cougars. From the KELO.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. KELO News Talk 1320 107.9.
News brought to you by Implant and Sedation Dentistry. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms rolling east this morning and partly cloudy for the afternoon. Our high temperature at 82.
A lot of stories that are trending this morning. So we'll run these down for you here shortly.
60. Tomorrow we'll struggle just to get back in the low 70s. Partly cloudy sky, low 70s on Sunday. From the Storm Center at Kibble-Land TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
The Sioux Empire's interesting news talk station with the power of information all day, all night. KELO News Talk 1320 107.9.
What would Jesus think if he read your social media posts? No, I'm not going to launch a sermon, but it's an interesting question posed by the Church of England. I'm Kim Commando for SimpliSafe. Save 20% on a new SimpliSafe system with a Fast Protect plan at simplysafekim.com. Here in America, the Episcopalians...
This is an incredible story regarding Walgreens. Their CEO announced that a meaningful percent of their stores across the United States will close. Not mentioning which ones yet, but a meaningful percent. They've got like 8,600 locations across the U.S.
And general incompetence. After years of research, study, and interviews, The church had nothing good to say about social media on any level. So then, would Jesus be on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, or X? An interesting thought as you post. Sign up for my free newsletter now at getkim.com. When it comes to protecting those who matter most, you need a home security system that you can trust. For years, I've trusted SimpliSafe to protect my studios. With advanced security technology and a customer-first approach, SimpliSafe is the security system I recommend. SimpliSafe is backed by 24/7.
I've talked about this before,
guarding your home with sensors
and here it is again.
to protect you and your family.
Trump leads Biden in battleground state that hasn't voted Republican since 2004,
They can even see
according to a poll from AARP.
stopping them
In
from
other
getting
words,
tracked.
older Americans going for Donald Trump.
They earn your business every day by
And this is a battleground state, hasn't voted Republican since 2004.
I want you to have it
Joe
too.
Biden's in trouble.
10% off any new SimpliSafe system when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafekim.com.
I think there's going to be Monday's show. I think is going to be interesting to see what happens today. You know, once the smoke clears a little bit from that debate last night.
The KELO Hotline is brought to you by Tires. Your
All right.
tire and automotive store. Financing programs available. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renault by Anderson picture and combination windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and light in a bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls.
Okay.
605-646-2667 today. Let's ABC Seamless.
Our borders are under siege, and the crisis keeps getting worse. But strong conservatives like Congresswoman Michelle Fischbach are fighting to stop the madness. Congresswoman Fischbach is working to finish President Trump's border wall, cracking down on drug cartels, and delivering law enforcement funding to keep Americans safe. Call Congresswoman Michelle Fischbach at 800-894-2036 and tell her to keep fighting to secure the border. Paid for by American Action Network. Think about it. How prepared are you for the unexpected? Emergencies strike without warning. We all know something big will be thrown at us soon. Be prepared for all the difference. This means having a reliable food supply stored to use during tougher times. That's why at My Patriot Supply, we sell thousands of our 4-week emergency food kits every week. Each kit is packed with delicious, easy-to-prepare meals that provide over 2,000...
Got 2 monitors that I watched during the program. Here, I can see what's actually occurring on the radio station. So the programming that's commercials and so on, and all of my, music and bumpers and everything that I use. Then generally, right here, I have another screen when I start taking call-ins. Tells me who's on the line, so on. Here we go. Big transmission problem or minor repair? It takes a specialist to know, and that's why for a long time I've been recommending the specialist at Jim's National Transmission. They're downtown at 4th and Weber. When you're having transmission problems, it's always best to go to a specialist. Most auto repair places are just going to replace your transmission, and that'll cost you 50 to 70% more than if you went to a transmission specialist. So do yourself a favor, save yourself time and money by taking your vehicle to the team at Jim's Transmission. They know all the ins and outs of automatic transmission diagnosis. Jim's Transmission, the transmission-only specialist, where transmissions are all they do. Find them downtown at 4th and Weber, and check out their website at jimsautotran's.com. You're going to find coupons and specials there and their phone number if you need to make an appointment. So give them a call today. Again, you'll find their phone number at jimsautotran's.com, jimsautotran's.com. Jim's National Transmission downtown at 4th and Weber.
These days, the world changes in an instant.
You want to know what's happening in a hurry.
Get the latest breaking news on your smartphone.
With the free KELO AM app.
It's the way to find out right away. The app is free at KELO.com.
KELO, NewsTalk 1320, 107.9.
6:39, sunshine and 69. Currently at KELO, we've got some scattered thunderstorms in the area this morning. Great to have you along. Thanks so much for letting me join you. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, the debate is the big story that's trending this morning. Washington Times has got a story. Joe Biden stumbles, Donald Trump pounces in first presidential debate. So they say, just a portion of this, there are a number of different stories that are trending on the debate this morning. But they say calm and measured former President Trump leveled blows at President Biden's job performance as Mr. Biden struggled at times to provide cogent answers as the two faced off in the first presidential debate. And we'll talk about that in more detail coming up this morning. I'm curious to know what, your thoughts. And again, if you wound up watching the debate last night, it appears the big story this morning really is that Democrats are scrambling and trying to respond to this and saying, many who are hoping that they can persuade the president to step down and not run prior to the Democrat convention. And again, I'm just amazed that they've allowed this to go on as long as they did. I mean, you and I have known, I think, for quite a long time that Joe Biden was not up to the task of re-election and another term at his age. We just have seen a lot of decline of, and I don't say that to be critical, to be mocking of President Joe Biden at all. So also trending this morning, Donald Trump maintaining his lead in a key battleground state. According to a new poll, this was a survey published this week by the AARP, and it finds that Donald Trump has a 3 percentage point lead over Joe Biden in Nevada. Trump is favored by 48% compared to 45% who said they would vote for Biden if the election were held today. So 3% is well within the margin of error, but Trump leading Biden in this AARP poll certainly is significant. We'll see how this shakes out. Also, the federal judge presiding over the classified documents case of Donald Trump granted his request yesterday for a hearing on whether prosecutors had been allowed to improperly breach attorney-client privilege when they obtained evidence from one of his former lawyers. So the order from Judge Eileen Cannon will mean that more delays than in Donald Trump's case are very likely. So she's granting his request for a hearing on this key evidence. Also, the U.S. Supreme Court, as you know, a number of rulings coming from the U.S. Supreme Court this week. So the Supreme Court temporarily blocked an Environmental Protection Agency plan to limit ozone pollution that drifts across state lines. So the court ruled to temporarily block the EPA's Good Neighbor rule for ozone, which the agency originally intended to impose on 23 states via regulatory process. And that is, seriously, that's how the federal bureaucracy is just killing this country. I mean, the Supreme Court also cleared the way yesterday for hospitals in Idaho to provide emergency abortions for now. This this was a procedural order, and it left a number of questions unanswered, and it could mean the issue will wind up back at the U.S. Supreme Court. And we're seeing that actually coming on a number of these issues, may wind up back again, and we talked about that at length yesterday, back in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. We talked about that with the ruling this week on, the administration and their involvement with social media, so on. The Supreme Court also yesterday blocked Purdue Pharma's bankruptcy settlement. And their bankruptcy settlement would have provided immunity to the Sackler family from facing lawsuits over their role in the opioid crisis. So under the settlement, the Sacklers agreed to pay $6 billion to address this. And so the U.S. Supreme Court stepping in and blocking that bankruptcy settlement yesterday. Also, a jury has ruled against the NFL yesterday. This is a long-running legal battle, likely not over the cost of the DirecTV Sunday ticket package. And so now this is a setback for the NFL. The NFL was ordered to pay $96 million to subscribers of the Sunday ticket. They also need to pay $4.7 billion then to residential subscribers. So the verdict was delivered by the U.S. District Court in the Central District of California. Wow. Also, the CEO of Walgreens has announced that a meaningful percent, we don't know how many or what percent, but he's saying a meaningful percent of Walgreens' 8,600 locations will close. So we don't know which ones yet. We don't know exactly how many, but he's saying a meaningful percent of them will need to close. So this news was confirmed in an interview with the Wall Street Journal, and he said Walgreens needs a strategy overhaul. So we don't know, again, exactly how many of these stores will close, but around a quarter, 1/4 of the chain stores are being assessed because they're just not delivering for the company there. If you've been following Walgreens at all, if you're a Walgreens shopper, I'm in Walgreens. I wouldn't say frequently, but pretty regularly that I'm in Walgreens. And they are, they are in deep trouble. The chain is. Also, completely different vein of stories here. A pair of asteroids are set to make close passes by the Earth this week. And it's getting the attention of many. One of the asteroids is over a mile wide, larger than 99% of the millions of known near-Earth objects. And so there are a couple of asteroids that are approaching the Earth. And again, one is among the largest ever. And this is a story from Forbes. They said a close encounter with an asteroid of this size is only expected to happen about once every 10 years. So many astronomers and amateurs are planning to observe the flyby. Also, the original watercolor illustration for the first edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone sold at auction this week. It sold on Wednesday for $1.9 million. And Sotheby's said that artwork now has become the most valuable Harry Potter item ever sold at auction. So the illustration was chased by 4 bidders on the phone and online for nearly 10 minutes before being sold at $1.9 million. This is a work by Thomas Taylor. He was just 23 years old in 1997 when he painted the iconic image of a young boy with a lightning bolt scar and the round glasses. It had been expected to fetch between 400 and 600,000, and it surpassed that significantly. Also trending this morning, Boeing is being sanctioned by U.S. investigators for sharing information about a federal investigation of that door plug blowout that left a gaping hole in the Boeing 737 MAX 9. So the National Transportation Safety Board said yesterday that Boeing blatantly violated the agency's investigative regulations as well as a signed agreement by providing some of this information to the media and speculating about the possible causes of what happened. So Boeing is having a growing number of problems with the federal government and the National Transportation Safety Board. This is really, it's more of a good news story. This hiker who had been missing for 10 days has been found. He spent 10 days in the Santa Cruz Mountains in California. Post last Friday, and the story's just trending now, that several witnesses reported hearing someone yelling for help. And so deputies responded, and they were able to confirm that it was Lucas McClish. He had been missing since June 11th. The sheriff's office said, and he had no major injuries. He was reunited with his families, and he talked to, all he had with him were, a pair of pants, a pair of hiking shoes, and a hat, along with a flashlight and a pair of folding scissors. And he says he drank a lot of water in order to keep himself alive and going, filled his boot with water. And he said, I just make sure I drank a gallon of water every day. But then after getting close to the end of it, my body needed food and some kind of sustenance. The water alone was not enough. 10 days. It's about 9 days longer than I'd last, I think. Wow. And I'm glad they found him and that he's doing well. Also, the North Carolina State Board of Elections, Democratic majority, denied certification to 3 political parties on Wednesday. And what it means is North Carolina then denying ballot access for Cornel West, as well as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. That decision may not be final, but for now, they're being, both Cornel West and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will not appear on North Carolina's ballot as presidential candidates. But again, we mean that decision stands for now. Also trending this morning, after the president had pardoned and I mentioned this, I think, yesterday, the story's been trending the last few days, President Joe Biden pardoning LGBTQ military service members. The Biden family then held a Pride Month celebration at the White House on Wednesday. And First Lady Dr. Jill Biden said to the crowd, Pride is a celebration, but it's also a declaration that we will not be silenced, that we will show up for ourselves, for each other, and for the country we deserve. Talking about, and I think then Ashley Biden also spoke, and she said, LGBTQ students deserve to be safe at school, at home, and in their communities, period. Don't all students deserve to be safe at home, safe in their schools, safe at home? Don't all students deserve that? I mean, that's what I believe. I believe all students deserve that, not just LGBTQ students. Every student deserves that. Also, the U.S. Supreme Court, a lot of, again, the Supreme Court traditionally by the end of June announces findings in a number of cases before they recess then over the summer months. And so U.S. Supreme Court then rules against, and they ruled 6-3 against the SEC doing in-house enforcement of some of these investor protection laws. And the SEC had gone after a Texas hedge fund manager, and he initiated the case after he was fined and barred by the SEC for securities fraud. And they're saying, no, should have had a jury trial. The federal government. And I think these stories are important while, when you've got the federal government without jury trial making these kinds of decisions and proceeding along that with excessive fines and so on, but no jury trial, which Americans have a right to under the Constitution. And the Supreme Court, at least that's what the Supreme Court found. Also, emergency officials ordered what turned out to be a relatively brief evacuation after a freight train derailed in suburban Chicago yesterday. The Canadian National Railway train derailed around 10:30 yesterday morning, and they issued a statement that about 25 cars had been derailed. No reports of fires or injuries, but that story is among those trending, and that's Belf's News Gallery for this morning. It's great to have you along. Coming up, we'll talk about the debate last night and get your thoughts on it. Also, news and information update just ahead. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show, brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
News all day, every day. Wake up.
Well, thank you so much, my friend, for letting me join you this morning. Please hit the thumbs up, give me a like. Pressing that like button, I really appreciate. Warms my heart, my friend. So please smash that like button. Let friends know, like-minded friends know about the Greg Belfrage Show. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend. So long until Monday, and may God bless.
Or on Menards.com. Save big on Mastercraft Door.